Happy Mini Monday! I recently got this tablet weaving loom for my birthday, and I've done some tablet weaving before, but that was about 10 years ago, and I've never actually used a proper frame before, so I'll start with something simple. And as for yarn, I've got this box of mixed stuff, and there's a lot of white, so I'll use that as well as this green, so now I can draw up a pattern. Each of these 18 columns corresponds to a tablet. In my case, that's a piece of cardboard with 4 holes in it, and they are labeled A, B, C and D, which correspond each to a row in the pattern, and they are positioned so that A will be the upper back hole, B the lower back, and so on. The first one is all white, so I'll thread my white yarn through a tablet and tie it to a loop of leftover yarn. This I can temporarily place on a peg whilst I guide the thread over the top, around the tensioning point and back around the bottom before tying it to the loop for a relatively short project length. Once that's secure, I can remove the loop from the peg, and all of the other threads are threaded through the tablet, tied to the loop, led around the frame and tied to the other end of the loop. Since the first 3 tablets are a single color each, it doesn't matter which hole I put which yarn in, but what does matter is the shearing, so the little Z underneath the pattern. The way to tell the shearing is to slightly tilt the tablet to get a better view of the threads and to align it vertically. Now I'm looking at the angle of the threads going through the tablet, and in a Z shearing they should match the direction of the letter Z. On the other hand, for an S shearing, I'd want to match the direction of the letter S, but this tablet needs to be in the Z shearing. The following tablets have multiple colors, so I have to pay attention to the labels on the holes, making sure that they are positioned with the A being in the upper back spot. So tablet number 4 should look like this, with green in A, white in the other 3 and in a Z shearing, and I'll string up the rest according to the pattern. Once that is done, I can put this bar back on, and it simultaneously keeps the yarn from sliding about, and it prevents the frame from bending inwards over time under the tension. To create the tension, I'm loosening this bar by releasing the wing nut so I can slide the work into the starting position before applying ample tension to the construction. I'm almost ready to start. I've got my 18 tablets here, and I've spooled some white weft onto my shuttle. The color doesn't really matter. I've just chosen white because it matches my outer border and I just have a lot of it. I've tied it to the starting loop, and now the actual weaving can begin. I simply insert my shuttle into the gap and turn the stack of tablets forwards. And I'm really sorry for the wobble. I had attached my camera mount to the weaving frame, and I didn't know that it would wobble this much. After 4 rotations, I'm back in my starting position, and my original plan was to now go into the backwards rotations, but I don't like that the green lines don't yet touch. So I'm turning forwards one more time, again inserting my shuttle, and now I can start my backwards rotation. I'm again going until the green lines meet and the little dots appear, which is 1 move past the starting position, so 6 rotations backwards. And now I'll do 6 forwards again. Now I can start to see the pattern that will keep repeating all the way along, but I don't yet like how messy the border is with it bending at every change of direction, so to change that, I'm separating the border tablets from the rest, in my case the left and rightmost 3, making sure to keep the orientation the same. So whilst the middle pattern section is starting the 6 backwards rotations, the border keeps rotating forward, still at the same rate of 1 rotation per shuttle. Once the middle section is ready to turn forwards again, I can merge the border back on and turn all of it forward 6 times before separating it out again for the next 6. This leaves a nice border along the finished work. Once I've done this a few times, I'm reaching the end of my working area and it's getting harder to turn, especially with the separation, so I'm loosening the tension and sliding my work down. The starting loop is now down here and everything has shifted around. Now, because I only turned the outsides forwards, the yarn is quite twisted, so I'm now changing directions and only twisting the outsides backwards. This leaves one little jump where I change directions, but otherwise it is clean again. And this one jump is way better than having one every 6 rows. So I continue in the same way, shifting the work along every few hours until I run out of weft. I'm placing the end in the gap and spooling some new yarn on my shuttle, and I've purposefully chosen this spot where the direction changes, because there naturally is a small bump, so it won't be too noticeable that I have 2 yarns in this gap, which is exactly what I'm doing. After the next turn, when pulling the shuttle, I'm making sure to leave a tail on the new yarn and pull the old yarn tight. And that is the whole changeover. This works because the whole strength of the ribbon comes from the twisted lengthwise yarn. The weft is only secondary and doesn't carry much strength, so I can just continue with the newly spooled shuttle like normal, and after a few rotations come back to cut off the tails. That's all there is to it, so I've just got to put a lot more days into the weaving, sliding it along every few hours until I reach the end. I've woven all of the yarn and I'm physically unable to turn anymore. I could carefully slide it off to the side, but it is way more fun to just do this. Now on the table I can remove the shuttle ready for the next project, as well as the tablets that just slide out. To secure the end, I'm temporarily making a knot into the loose threads. Once I decide what to use it on, I can cut off the knot and securely stitch it down, but until then this will keep the end from unraveling. The other end is still well secured to the starting loop, so I'm tying it off quite tightly and I still have enough left over for a new starting loop on the next project. And there you have it, my first ribbon woven on a tablet weaving frame. There are a few little defects, but all in all I'm quite happy and I'm definitely going to make more in the future, so please help me out and write me your suggestions for patterns or color combinations I should do in the comments down below. Whilst you're down there, feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more handmade videos every Melly Monday, and leave me your feedback in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next Melly Monday.